Jorge, I got the end of that question. And if I can go straight to it, it's been bubbling for a while now, and it just finally came to a head last night. And it's interesting because I thought that the Padres were going to leave Dodger Stadium without incident yesterday. Dave Roberts started to empty his bench. The game was 5-0. All the fans had filed out of the ballpark. And then all of a sudden, Fernando Tatis Jr. gets hit in the right hand, and there are fireworks. And it's almost as if, like, the universe wouldn't let the Padres leave without there being something before they have their last game until, like, August. And this is just, I mean, this has been bubbling at the surface since 2020, basically. And the Padres almost go out of their way to say that, you know, they don't treat Dodgers games with any more importance than any other game during the regular season. And then you watch them play, and clearly they have a heightened sense of intensity against them. The Dodgers have tried to act as if they were above it, and they keep getting dragged in with the emotions. And, I mean, it's fun. It's great. And I can't wait until August, until they meet again, and I hate it that it's going to be so long until they do.
You know, we talked about just that all of this earlier, but the thing that fascinates me the most is Shohei's reaction to the second one. And I'm just trying to think if I've ever seen anything like that. And for somebody that's now been around Shohei for a little bit, does it not surprise you that he's like, not only is his talent above everything else, but apparently so is his mentality, and he's just this sort of super being that's above all of us, and he's just able to control everything physically and mentally? Like, what was that something that surprised, or if not, maybe you could give us an anecdote as to why it didn't?
So, like, I think you said that perfectly. It's almost as if, like, he exists on a different platform. Like, he's got an awareness that the rest of us don't have. And, like, I don't know, that did surprise me because I've never seen him in that situation. I've never seen him in the middle of what could have been a really tense moment and being the subject of it. Keep in mind, Shohei Ohtani is going to pitch on Sunday. He took 100 miles per hour to his right shoulder blade, okay? Like, that's got to hurt. And, I mean, I think, and I don't know this for sure, but just common sense, 3-0 count. Robert Suarez is a right-hander, throws all the way across his body and gets Shohei Ohtani with a fastball right after Fernando Tatis Jr. gets hit, which is exactly what happened 2 nights earlier. Shohei Ohtani had every reason to be upset. And, like, he didn't even, like, rub his back and just had a smile on his face and just waved everybody off. Like, I don't know. I don't want to put this. I don't want to make this bigger than it is. But it's just, I don't know that anybody else would have had a reaction like that. And yeah, I was surprised because if Shohei Ohtani doesn't wave teammates off, everybody's coming out of the dugout. And I think at that point they're fighting. They didn't fight before. I feel like they're fighting at that point if Shohei doesn't do what he did.
Alden González with us here. Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly. The way he handled that really de-escalated the situation. I don't think there's any doubt. Now, you tweeted recently about the ramifications. So Robert Suarez will be suspended 3 games. He's going to appeal. Mike Shildt and Dave Roberts are going to get 1 game, and they'll serve their suspensions tonight. So I'll ask you, in regards to Roberts, who will manage the team then tonight?
I believe it's the bench coach, and I shouldn't know this, but I believe it would be Danny Lehman, the bench coach, who was the one who managed yesterday. So that's sort of an easy call. And on the suspensions, like, it's kind of I was wondering if Dave would get a longer suspension because he did make contact with Mike Shildt when he came out. He came running out, and it looked like, I don't know if he shoved him intentionally or if his momentum got him there, but he made contact with him. So I was wondering if he'd get more of a suspension. 3 games for Robert Suarez, I mean, that's what you would expect. I mean, warnings had been issued. It seemed pretty blatant that he was trying to hit Shohei. So honestly, like, I was not surprised by the suspensions. What I was surprised by is that Fernando Tatis Jr. is in the lineup. And I guess all those candles that Manny Machado told the Dodgers to light work because he's healthy.
Yeah. But by the way, Alden, when I saw that quote, I said this on the show today. That's the most Latino thing you could have said if you were Manny Machado, is lighting the candles. Because I remember my abuela used to light candles all the time.
the Hialeah came out of him. All right, that's it. And I know the audience is probably not familiar with Hialeah, but that is a very common practice in Hialeah where Manny Machado is from. And I will, if I could add just one thing here. Yeah. So,
by the way, let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. For the audience, this is what I'll translate. It's like Cuban East LA is the way I would describe it.
That's not bad. That's not bad.
I thought you were going to go straight to the like throwing the zapatos, like if you know that.
No.
Okay.
The chancletas. The chancletas.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're in the clubhouse, in the Padres clubhouse last night, and we're just standing there. We're waiting on Fernando Tatis Jr. to come out to talk to us. He's going to get X-rays. And Manny Machado pokes his head out the door, and he's like, "Do you guys need me tonight?" And let me just tell you, like that never happens. Okay. Manny never does that. And he did that because he had stuff that he wanted to say. And, man, like he was on one last night. That was probably one of the best post-game scrums I have ever been a part of. It was magical.
You know, the Dodger, just zooming out a little bit, anytime the Dodgers have come up this season, I've sort of been like, I mean, just look at the roster, look at the arms, the bullpen's starting to get healthy. Like, they're going to get more starters back. Like it's all come down to Dodgers or the field. Like that's how good that this team is on paper. Is there anything that you're looking out for that's going to raise your eyebrow in the next couple of months, presuming the Dodgers just continue to stay where they've stayed now? I think, what is it, like a 3.5 game lead in the division? Is there anything that you're looking out to, not necessarily as a concern, but just sort of that's going to allow your eyebrow to raise a little bit for this team?
Well, I'm gonna go even further than that. I would be concerned right now about the Dodgers pitching injuries. And I would not categorize this as Dodgers versus the field right now, because that's how injured they've been with their pitching staff. I mean, it was only until recently. And maybe it's still the case now. Yeah, they're still in first place, but
without
just
pitching.
Barely. And they have 14 pitchers on the injured list, and their relievers lead the majors in innings pitched. And it's only June. And that spells trouble. And, like, they've had some great news lately with their pitching health because Tyler Glasnow and Blake Snell are on the way back. It's no guarantee that they're going to stay healthy, though, and I will tell you that they can't win a World Series again with just 3 healthy starters in October. Right. Again, like, they're in good shape. They're in first place, but I don't have – like, the Mets are a really good team. The Phillies are really good. The Giants added Rafael Devers. They're a major threat. So, I think those teams are kind of on par with the Dodgers until they get their pitchers back. And I got to wait to see if Tyler Glasnow is going to be healthy, if Blake Snell are going to be healthy. Like, they have to prove that, because the way their rotation looks right now, this is not sustainable. It's almost a miracle that they've been able to navigate such a brutal stretch and still be in first place.
That's kind of my point, though. It's not a miracle.
Well, but what he's saying is, correct me if I'm wrong. Hold on.
It's not a miracle.
Correct me when I'm wrong. Alden, you're just saying that they've been over-reliant on their bullpen, and that could potentially come back to haunt them if these guys don't come back healthy sooner rather than later.
Yeah, you gotta have one or the other. And, like, the thing that's always gonna the major benefit the Dodgers will always have is their lineup is deeper than any other. But you can't have a very short-handed rotation and also a bullpen that has had to shoulder so much of the load as the Dodgers have. That stuff eventually catches up to you. My only point is, look, like, if I had to pick one team to win the World Series, do I pick the Dodgers? I guess so. I just don't think it's as clear-cut as it was before, because this is now year 2 where they have shouldered a significant amount of injuries, and it's really tested their depth. And twice a week they have to roll out a bullpen game or call somebody up from AAA that you've never heard of to take down innings. And they've been finding a way, but eventually their starting rotation needs to be complete, or at least close to complete, because what it's been so far, it's not good. Like, it's not the stuff that plays in October. So, again, Tyler Glasnow, Blake Snell, they've taken positive steps forward. They also have shoulder injuries, though. So those guys need to get healthy. And the reason and it's interesting, though, because I was just like you guys. Like, at the start of the year, like, everybody having those conversations about the Dodgers setting the regular season wins record, I was right there with everybody because I thought this team was unbeatable. I did not have them suffering as many pitcher injuries as they have yet again. And that's a very real thing that we have to be mindful of.
For sure. It's just the indications are that they're going to be getting these arms back, right? You just mentioned some, kind of the key names, and then also Shohei ramping up, and we're going to see if he's able to get back to that full level. And but I mean, that kind of brings us back. We started with Shohei and everything off the field. Anything else about how his arm feels a couple days later, and like what the plan is for the next pitch count and all that?
So far, he's fine. I will say that people need to keep in mind that what he's doing right now is basically just a continuation of his rehab. He decided that it was too much of a toll on his body to do these sim games before the game, cool down, then ramp back up to then DH later that night. So he told the Dodgers, I'd rather just do this at the same time. Weird as that sounds. And the Dodgers are like, totally fine, because he counts as an extra pitcher, basically. Like it's like Brandon Gomes, the general manager, called it 3 innings, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's not going to burn anybody else. You're not removing anybody else from the roster to add him. Having said that, the plan for Shohei initially for like being back in the rotation was like late July, August. And it's still trending in that way, in the sense of like that's when he's going to be built up enough to take on something close to a starter's workload, be it 4 innings, 5 innings, something like that. So in the meantime, they're going to play this super slow. So like, don't be surprised if Shohei Ohtani throws 1 inning again on Sunday against the Nationals. It might be 2. It could be just 1. But they are going to still slow play this. Like, people are talking about how the timeline maybe got expedited because he's back in the rotation now sooner than we thought, but not necessarily. Like, they're still going to take this super slow with him because it's such a fragile thing, and like the endurance that's required to be a two-way player, especially when you haven't been that close to 2 years, like that's something that they're going to be very mindful of.
Alden González does a phenomenal job covering Major League Baseball for us here at ESPN. Alden, thanks for the time, brother. Appreciate you.
No problem, guys. Take care.